liberation is a deep commitment. It's an ongoing commitment to be fully available to the totality of what is every moment. Is full availability. In the midst of any conditions, it's unguarded, radical, non-referential openness in the midst of any situation. So at some point, it's kind of like a done deal, this whole thing with awakening. It's like your life belongs to it. If that's the way you are wired, if that's the way you are kind of built, if that's the way you are inclined. More and more people these days have deep awakenings, have deep realizations. So that just seems to be characteristic to our time. It's not like that for everyone, and there's really nothing special about this. Like if you're built this way, you have the capacity for this, and you will discover that, yeah, there's no way to kind of imagine what that means. But you know that there's nothing rather you would do with your life. And there comes this point of unconditional commitment. It's kind of like you get your feet into the doorway of the absolute. And that's after that, it's very dynamic, this play of realization. It's ongoing. It's ongoing. It's because at the same time, the absolutes gets the foothold in you. So it's like mutual interlocking, and after that, this dance begins, which is the dance of realization. The dance of undoing, of you and the key moment, or one of the key moments, is when you say yes to it. So because it is kind of like a hero's journey in that sense. You may have a lot of hesitation about it. You may find yourself on the path, but not really fully committed, maybe trying different things out, maybe being interested and fascinated, but then being also interested about a lot of other things in life. But at some point, it just may happen, whether you want it or not, whether you planned it or not, that this moment dawns. And you make this decision, after which there's no going back ever. You make this decision, this commitment is born, this conviction. It's like a very powerful intention that is going to actualize itself. And you don't know what that means. But you also know there's nothing that can stand away from it. On away from it is so powerful force in us when it takes a hold of us. And it really requires this utmost, like deep reverential commitment. So it's kind of like a marriage, but on a totally different level than what a human marriage would mean. even at the deepest level of connection, it's not comparable for this type of union, for this type of self-giving that happens when we fully enter the path of liberation. And Ramana once described it that it's like being taken by a tremendous flood, the absolute or Brahman. So when or if this happens, you kind of cannot question it. At the same time, there will be doubt for sure. That's just part of the journey. But there's something in you that almost like against your will compels you to just take another step, take another step, take another step to the unknown, to the unknown, to the unknown. There's no guarantee. You just keep on going. So it may first appear like that this human relative aspect in us is kind of releasing itself into the absolute, is giving itself, is opening up, is dropping defenses, is dropping self-protection, is making itself available, is calling this in. And then you awake, or you kind of realize this awakening that is already there, this realization that's just characteristic to the absolute nature. You realize that's what you are that absolute. So you've been all the time opening towards yourself. You've been opening all the time, releasing into yourself. You've been all the time falling into yourself. And there's nowhere else to go ever but this. And this is what you are. You are this absolute nature. So when that becomes clear, it's almost like everything you taught yourself to be, everything that constituted the relative experience, it's almost like wiped away, like it never even happened, this stream of being someone in time and space. And that's why people speak with such authority when they speak from deep realization, when they speak from absolute, because it's not them really speaking. They don't speak as a person there. It just comes with this undeniable certainty. So yeah, it's liberation, but it's not for you. It's not for the person that falls away. It's just the nature of reality when it is seen from this unhindered clarity, that it arises as self-liberation, it arises as enlightenment. It's not for you, it's just the nature of phenomena, that everything is inherently perfect, inherently clear. Everything has that taste of the absolute. Everything has that immaculate nature. And yet there is still a fundamental step to make. So here, it's so unitary, the experience, when the absolute is realized. Of course, the relative is still there, but usually the absolute will feel kind of like 98% and the relative feel like 2%, and it's very ephemeral and not that important, really. So there is this subtle, super subtle distinction there that we don't even feel that is there. So at some point, it's like this absolute perfection, this absolute non-dual clarity, this pristine fundamental nature. It kind of disappears back into the relative. It kind of gives itself back into the form. And when that happens, then there is no more absolute. There is no more realization. It disappears into the ordinary life. And suddenly there's just a relative. You're kind of back where all of this started, but the relative is the absolute. It is the absolute. There's no distinction whatsoever. And there is only that. There is only appearance, and appearance arises as enlightenment. That's all there is. That's all there ever was. There is only this ordinary experience, which is by its nature enlightenment. If you look at it like this, like a hologram, it looks like samsara. Then you look at it a little bit different way, it looks like nirvana. But it's exactly the same thing, and it's all the time in front of your eyes. And whatever this is, this basic nature, this basic fundamental nature, it doesn't have a preference. It doesn't have a bias towards samsara or towards nirvana, because it's self-evident and self-obvious that it's all this, is all grounded on this. So there's nothing to attain, there's nothing to realize. And striving for nirvana is exactly what blocks us from seeing that the nature of phenomena is by its nature nirvana. So when we give up that striving for something other than what is, then we can just appreciate the play of phenomena, like a magic display. We can enter in these situations that from a conventional standpoint would look like samsara, would look like just normal human stuff, but it's just totally clear. It's just so untainted. It's just so obviously not what it seems. And yet it's exactly what it seems.